Hey, you guys, Tricia Turner here. This is Walk Away Wealthy, formerly known as Anything But Average. Reason for this podcast is to bring you positivity, success stories, ways you can grow your business and improve your life. This guy that I got on today, he's freaking killing it in the real estate world. He's super positive, but he's super transparent and very real. Some people say he has no filter. And so I thought he'd be a great person to have on today, this first day of November 2022. Joe Brikman, welcome.
Thank you. No one's ever told me that I have no filter, but I guess it's true. I
It's
don't.
super true. Yeah.
So, to me, there's really nothing that's off limits, when it comes to self-improvement and development and growth and all that type of stuff. A lot of people, they've gotten used to this thing where people kind of just see what's going on. They go, oh, okay. And they just don't call it out for what it is. I've had a lot of fun calling things out for what they are and making, big waves and moves here and the changes that have to be made. So excited to be here, honored to be on your podcast and ready to take this away.
Love it. First of all, you guys, if y'all don't know him, you need to follow him on Facebook. He's very transparent. Like, you'll be just paying attention to him just by the things that he says and the things that come out of his mouth. You're like, did he really just post that? But he does. So Joe, for people that don't know you, let's give them some backstory. Where are you at in the world? What do you do for a living? And how long have you been doing that?
Totally. So I live in Miami, Florida. I live in a city called Bal Harbor. We're here in South Florida. I'm a real estate agent. I'm the modern day agent. I've been licensed since election day of 2020. I decided, regardless of who would win what, I would win and, really build out my life. So went out there and got licensed, passed the exam. So we hit the ground running. I employed something called the modern day client attraction system in order to get my business started. I've sold, set myself up in the beginning for agents that are watching this. I set myself up to be able to build about a $90,000 commission pipeline in my first 90 days in the business. And then, from there moved on along to a point now where we're getting ready to close out this year, just over 60 million in career year-to-date sales, well over 200 transactions. And, lots of different clients from lots of different places. So we run lead generation on 8 different verticals every single day between paid and organic traffic. We're very involved with our community. We're very involved with the businesses here. I have something called the Faces of Hollywood, which is something that we had just started where we're going to go out to other businesses and actually connect with them, give them an opportunity to right off of the exposure that I've been getting. An average post that I make gets anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 views, and an average video that I make, or even something that I post on my story, gets anywhere from 700 to 1,200 views. So these are all people that are here local in Florida that are looking to do things. And by being able to take my success and actually share that with the community, help other people also leverage up and other people also grow, I feel like that's something that's extremely important, especially in today's day and age, where a lot of people's main focus is what can I take for myself? Where can I do for me? What can I do for me versus how can I serve the people? So, all of that together really, I think is a collaborative effort in what has pushed me towards where I am today in terms of success. Someone had asked me the other day to sum it up, and I was like, look, it really boils down to 3 things. Have like crazy accountability and have a real willingness to grow and have a service-based mindset and really be focused on helping other people. So I feel like combining those 3 things together makes up who we are today as an organization. We're the modern day team. We had put together a team and we're in the process of scaling that out as well. And it follows all of these principles, which has helped us get to where we are today, and really excited to continue, just building out the relationships and stuff. I met you at one of those real estate events,
Yep.
And we connected, and it's really exciting now to have this opportunity to be on a podcast with you.
All right. So first of all, there was a lot there that we're going to dive through and unpack. Real estate, like you got in it just now, about to be 2 years. So first of all, why real estate? What did you do before that?
Sure. So real estate, honestly, was a way that when I had gotten into the business was something that I had found a way to serve people. So, a lot of people, when they hear that I'm in Miami and they hear my production numbers, they're always like, yeah, anybody can do that in Miami. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe you're right. Like, I believe that there are people out there who have underutilized potential that can outperform me if they were to use their potential. But a lot of people, the thing is, that's why it's called potential. A lot of people don't use it. So, I went there and I'm literally like, proof as to what advocacy for other people and service-based mindset will do if you're tenacious and you don't give up. Because that's how I built my business. Why specifically this industry? So I have a little bit of a background in lending. And doing home security systems. So I actually built a home security company where from 2016, 17 through a little bit of 2018, I was, helping build out this company. Ultimately, I had lost the company to the person that I was partners with who had, taken advantage of me being 19. In a different state away from everybody and, really just trying to make it. So then I went out there and I founded my own security company. And throughout that, I learned a lot of the struggles of what real estate agents go through because a lot of people were cold calling them instead of cold calling agents to ask them, to refer a deal that they just worked hard to get on their own, to qualify and to close. I actually offered to help agents generate their own leads. So let me show you how to market yourself. Let me show you how to build your business. And then when time would come to call them and say, hey, I helped you do this. Now do me a favor and, set me up to help out your client. They would say, sure, because, leading with value, leading with help, leading with helping other people solve their problems will always get you a lot farther than just trying to figure out, hey, how can I make the biggest paycheck? So at a certain point, I got into mortgages. We built a mortgage brokerage. I wasn't licensed at the time, but I helped one of my friends put everything together in 2017, alongside everything that we were doing, right? And then in 2018, I joined the IDF, the Israeli Army. I was a paratrooper there for 2 years. And
I didn't know that.
And throughout that process, I had automated my company. So I built the entire company to where it was automated 100%. Right now in my real estate business, we have the modern day angels. So we have our angels who handle all of our back end fulfillment. They're called angels because you can feel them and you can hear them, but you can't see them. So same idea as real angels, which is what they are for our clients. So, we're very, very into that. And, I realized ultimately that this business had become a very big free for all. Everybody and their mom was getting their license, and everybody was trying to do real estate business. Everybody was trying to transact. But the problem is that the way a transaction works, it automatically means that you're disposable. I'm going to meet you. We are going to transact. And then once we're done with this transaction, we have transacted, which means it's in the past. Yep. So, a lot of agents, a lot of brokers, their focus is how many transactions are we doing? How many deals are we doing? And to me, I look at how many relationships are we building? How many relationships are we maintaining? Because closing a deal, anybody can close a deal, but building a relationship to where, the clients, not only they come back to you, but they refer their mom and they refer their friends and they refer their people. That's really about, the experience that you built. So to answer the question, right, once I had moved back to Florida and I had felt and I had seen what was going on, I was trying to buy a house at the time. Very happy I ended up buying a house. I ended up buying investments instead. But, for me, it didn't work out. But when I didn't end up buying the house, what that did was it opened me up to hey, listen, this market is struggling. There are a lot of people who don't know what is going on. And we need to start educating people because the people who are out there opening doors and getting lockbox codes for other people, I mean, that's really cool. But those people aren't going to be here in a year.
No.
So because of that, I decided, I would then jump into the business in order to revolutionize a little bit. And we did create, this modern day client attraction system, which we call it attraction and not lead generation, because you can generate leads, you can run ads on Facebook, and you can get names, phone numbers, and emails, which we're doing by very, very big volumes, which I think is a phenomenal way to generate leads. But at the same time, you also want to build relationships. You want to build foundational cornerstones in your business. And the best way to do that is by having a reputation that supersedes itself. That when people call you and when people are talking around or asking in chats or asking in Facebook groups, hey, who's the local real estate agent? People don't have to think twice and they know exactly who it is. Not necessarily because they've worked with you, but just because they've seen all of the help that you're providing and all the value that you're trying to add to the community.
I love that. And so, and I don't know the Miami market at all. I know Houston, where I am in real estate, especially now how things have shifted. Even before this, like when you got into it in 2020, we were on the throes of an insane market. Like no one had ever seen that before. And it continued on until basically June of this year. You starting your real estate career in that kind of a market, what kind of propelled you, or what do you think propelled you so far, so fast?
So the reality is that I firmly believe that if anybody would have shown up the way that I've shown up in the last 2 years, in terms of lead generation, business building, coaching, marketing, money spent on personal development, hours, 18, 19 hours a day, sitting in front of a computer, going out to every showing, chasing every rental. I did 88 rentals my first year in the business. So, when you think about that, I firmly believe that if somebody would have done every single thing I've done to the T, they would outperform my production 100%. And I believe that. And because I believe that, there's two things. Number one, I work like an animal because I will not be outworked. I love working, right? And I love providing to people. A lot of people are like, oh, you're always chasing the money. And I go, nah, dude, like I'm good. It's not about the money at this point. At this point, it's about the contribution. It's about Shaniqua, who cannot get a house because nobody will take her seriously.
Yep.
And I'll sit down with her and I'll say, listen here, I can help you, but I need you to be straight with me, right? Come to my lender, come get pre-approved. And then they go and they get pre-approved, and these people have good credit, and these people have good income. But a lot of people won't work with them because it's a $300,000 price point, which in Miami isn't high enough, Yep. So I turned around and I said, you know what? I'm going to show every single one of those people houses, and I'm going to put every single one of those people under contract. And my average sales price, which, the people who say, yeah, you came up in Miami on the high, well, check it out. The average median sales price in Miami is $750,000 by area.
Okay.
My average sales price is $509,000.
Okay.
And what that goes to show you is that, yes, I've done $14 million deals, and I've done $4 million deals, and I've done $12 million deals. But at the same time, my average sales price when it comes to regular residential single family houses is under $500,000, under $550,000, which is below the median, right? Which what that shows you is that I focus a lot of my effort on people who feel like they're underdogs, on people who feel like they're priced out, on people who feel like they're not able to do it. Because I look at myself as that knight in shining armor. My job is to reinstill the faith in the people, that the people should realize and understand that we are going to be able to show up and help them. And we are going to do our job regardless of skin color, regardless of commission check amount. I feel like some agents, they look at their leads as people with commission checks on top of their head. And it's kind of like, I don't, and they start
good enough.
Exactly. It's not good enough. And what I'm telling people is like, listen, like I do not have to go out on showings. I can hire whoever I want. And there are people on my team who they go, Joe, stop going to show properties. You do a better job in the office. And you know what? It might be true, but I love the human connection. I love being able to look at somebody in the eye and say, look, I understand if this house is not the house that you want to put an offer on, let's come sit down outside and let's review some other options so we can go find you something that you want. Not turn around and start saying, hey, listen, man, I came out here to show this house and there's 5 other people who are interested. You got to make an offer now. Because I don't believe in that shit. I believe in giving people an opportunity to be able to really, understand and feel that there's somebody out there who actually cares about their long-term well-being. And, when you grow up as a child, they tell you about this shit called unconditional love, right? When you grow up as an adult, they forget to write a little memo that says, hey, by the way, that unconditional love shit, that's only with your parents and it only really depends. So, they forget to do that. So a lot of people, they come out there and they're doing that. And, you really need to, and then they get hurt. And you really need to give people that opportunity to be like, listen, like you don't have to worry. Like I'm not here to prey on you. I'm using that word because I see that cheetah behind you. Like I'm not, like trying to prey. I'm really just trying to help you out. Like I'm here. Not only that, hey, if you don't believe me, like Google my number, Google my name, and you'll see all the people that I've helped. You'll see all the videos that I make to help the people. And that's why I got in the business. That's what helped me grow. What helped me grow was not being scared to turn around and say, listen, there's a better way to do this. And if you follow me and let me show you how to do it and let me go to work for you, I can make it happen. Both on the listing side in terms of, I had this one client last year, they wanted to sell their house for $550,000. I said, guys, you're nuts. I'm going to list it for $615,000. We ended up selling it for $700,000.
Yes.
Yes. And these are people who they were totally happy with the 500, but now that I got them $100,000 more, all of a sudden now they're telling everybody, hey, Joe got me $100,000 more than what I thought I can get for my house.
Yes.
Now, I did not set out with the intent of them. Obviously, I sent out with the intent of them leaving me a 5-star review and being happy with what they're doing. But I didn't set out with the intent of them now becoming brand ambassadors for the modern day agent and saying, listen, this guy, Joe, if you're buying a house, you now need to buy a house from Joe.
Yep.
and they're living in a different state, and they send me referrals from a different state. That's how awesome this was. And the reason they did that was because the mindset that I approached this with in the beginning was not how can I maximize this lead now to circle prospect and lead generate and call and knock and door knock and go around. I mean, obviously, but at the same time, the mindset was also more of like, okay, Don and Michael are nervous. They're scared. They don't know where to go, and they want to go here, and they want to go here quickly before the first snowfall. Can we make it happen? Hell yeah, we can. And we did, right? And we were ready to roll. So that comes from the service-based mindset. And that's really the reason why I've walked into this business to begin with, and why I think that I've been able to be successful. Because even now, when I'm busy, my team will be sitting with me on a Zoom, and somebody will text me and say, Joe, I'm an agent and I'm struggling and I have a problem. And I'll say, hey, call me. Right. And we'll take the call in the middle of everything, even if it's for 5 minutes.
I love that.
There are so many people out there that are in this business that feel alone.
Oh gosh, yes. Tons.
And giving them an opportunity to just say, hey, listen, like as a friend, you are fine. Your business might take a little bit of a hit, but it's cool. It's just money. Worst case, right. You'll go back to what you were doing before because you couldn't hack it. And that's okay. Like, you tried, you did what you did. And that's what you got to do. But then there are people who say, no, I don't want to give up. I want to hack it. I want to make it happen. And those are the people that I'll spend a little bit more time with and say, listen, guys, there's a method to this madness. You gotta, what do they always say? You gotta make deposits in the bank account, right? You gotta be putting the numbers in order to be able to want to make that withdrawal. My father always said it was a line in Russian that he switched over to English that said, no deposit, no return. And it was like a very straightforward sentence. It's like, yeah, that's the name of this game. You got to keep stacking those up. And you're not looking here. Like, I'm a big believer in energy.
Oh, me too.
And when you think about it, it's the energy that you put out is eventually the energy that will come back, but you don't know when, you don't know how, you don't know why, and you don't know what. And that is actually something which I think is awesome because, I grew up in a very deeply religious household and like very religious. Like the first time on Saturday that I turned the light on, I thought I'd get hit by a light bulb type, lightning bolt type religion.
No lights allowed on Saturday?
So you can't use electricity. Like if you leave a light on, you can use it. Like Jewish people use timers and like commercial timers in their houses.
Okay.
To turn the lights on and off. Like even over here, like there are houses that I've sold that are like Jewish houses. And what I mean by that, not like in a discriminatory way, but more of like it's already kind of like ready and it's been prepared for like Jewish people to maximize its use. Which is like the electricity is all on clocks and like the oven's on a timer.
Why?
So the way it works is that the Jewish people believe in the Torah, which the Torah said in the very beginning that God created the world in 7 days and 6 days, and on the seventh day he rested.
Okay.
So Jewish people rest on the seventh day, and the way that they honor the day, because it does continue saying in the Bible, in the Torah, I should say, the Bible's a little different. In the Torah, it says that you should sanctify the seventh day, and you should make it holy and keep it holy. So, surprising how much I know about this, right?
No, not at all. I love it.
So, the Jewish people, the way that the really religious people, what they do is from Friday night at around sundown. They actually go completely offline. So no electronics. They won't start any fires, won't make any new food. And you go to the synagogue and pray, and then you come back and there's like a whole prayer that's made over wine, and then the family has a meal. And then the next day it's also prayer, a meal, and then until sundown, there's an observation period where you don't use any electricity, you don't drive any cars,
wow.
You don't like turn on any hot water thermostats or anything, you don't move around any, if you're hot, for instance, and you want to lower the AC, you need to actually go outside, find somebody who's not Jewish and kind of hint them, hey, look, it's hot inside my house. The door's open. There's a whole thing to it. And it's funny because in Brooklyn, where I grew up in Crown Heights, everybody on the street, when you'd walk up to them at night on a Friday night or on a Saturday afternoon, they knew exactly what you needed. It's just like, okay, where do you live and what do you need? And it was really funny.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, I think. Just the idea that I'm a big fan of the idea in general that you have one day a week that you just disconnect. I'm grateful that I'm in the process of building out this team, which is going to give me that opportunity to be able to do that, where I can take those time, because right now it's literally a 6 day a week job. Saturday I don't work.
So and whenever you still follow that, you don't work on Saturday.
Well, yeah, I don't work on Saturdays just because honestly, like there was a time in my life where I was rebellious and I didn't care. And I would try to write up deals and I never got them like accepted. So I figured there was no point.
Yeah. Like I
I
told
figured,
you, you're
well,
not to do this. You're not doing
yeah,
this.
100%. I was like, well, at that point, I may as well just kind of wait. And that's what we did. So, and even now, like clients will message me and I'll be like, listen, like I can submit it if you really, 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 really want me to. But like, let me just tell you that I do not have any experience with getting offers submitted on Saturday. So if you want, we can wait an hour or two and we can do it out. And they go, you know what? Yeah, I think it's a better idea. And I go,
That's
thank you.
crazy.
But yeah, I mean, look, the cool thing is that growing up the way that I grew up, I did like I got like a what they would call like a legitimate hardcore education, religious education.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have any sort of high school diploma or any sort of like elementary school level training of math or English or anything like that. Like everything I learned was all Hebrew studies. So
Really?
yeah, until I was like maybe 16 or 17.
Wow.
Yeah, like when I was 12, I taught myself how to write English. But that was kind of about it. Like, I never really had any sort of math education or anything like that. Even till today, I will calculate every single number I do that's over 10 on a calculator, just because it's how it is. So I taught myself how to read and write, when I was like 12, 13. And then as I started thinking and realizing more, like, I had gone through a lot of different trauma in my life growing up. And I had realized that, I'm going to have to make a break for it. And I'm going to have to disappear and I'm going to have to go try to start something new. So when it came time to start, really learning all of that stuff, it was kind of like, holy crap, I'm never going to do this. Like I have a really good critical head in terms of analytical thinking because I had finished a lot of the studies that take people like maybe their entire educational path or even some people a lifetime to learn. I had completed in a matter of months. So by doing all of that stuff, I had a lot of that analytical critical thinking muscle in my head, but at the same time, none of it was like standing up to authority or, trying to figure out my own path. All I knew was that I had to get out. So when I got here to Miami, I booked a one-way ticket from this boarding school that I was at in Montreal. And, when I got to Miami, I had no idea like what or who or where. Like my whole
That is crazy.
nuts.
Yes. How old were you?
So I was 18. I booked literally like I had applied for a credit card at 12:01 a.m. the day I turned 18. I got approved for $450 credit limit.
Oh my God.
I had the card. I was gonna be mailing to my house in New York. I had called them and I said, "Hey, listen, I'm actually in a boarding school in Canada. Is there a way you can send me the card?" They said, "Sure," because I didn't realize credit cards can just charge your account. They charged me like $40 to send the card international because it was one of those like Capital One like entry level cards. And long story short, I booked a ticket to Miami for like $200. And I'm flying to Miami. Now I had money, but like I didn't have money. Like I had 10 grand, but it was all the money that I had to my name.
Yeah.
So like, I was kind of trying to like figure out like what to do. Like on the one hand, like this is all the money that I had. I was doing a lot of different types of hustling and sales when I was in school, all throughout my school career. That's kind of how I paid for a lot of the things that I did. And at that point, like I was at this airport and they wanted like $700 to check in all of my bags. And I was like, yo, fuck this. Like, let me just go put it in the lost and found. And I figured, you know what, if somebody from the school would call me, I would tell them that my stuff, whatever, couldn't take it, with go pick it up. I had left it there. It's probably still there.
You lie.
Yeah, like I just left it there. Like it's literally there till this day. It's probably
you never got it.
No, I mean, honestly, it was like a whole bunch of, it was like a lot of the garb and a lot of like, it was just a lot of things that like I could do without. Like I had taken out, like my like Jewish prayer boxes and like a couple of pairs of clothing and stuffed them into a backpack. And that was kind of it. Like, my whole perception of where I was going was the movie Bad Boys 2,
Yes.
So I was like on my way to go build a life that did that. But that obviously, is just a movie. And when I got here, I was just faced with that reality that number one, the reservation that I had made, wasn't a legitimate reservation. And that I'm gonna have to figure out where to live. So, I had ended up like I had a little bit of money, so I was, like I lived a little bit of a rapper style for like 3 days and then the money was gone. So, from there, it was kind of like, well, shit, like now I'm going to have to figure this out and see where I'm going to go. So one of the skills that I had picked up throughout my, very vigorous schooling was how to pick locks to doors. So I had found this like junkyard that, now they built a gorgeous storage building right on top of it. But this junkyard had like these compacted cars. So like I, had this little backpack with me and I kind of got into one of these cars and I was like, all right, well, I'm probably going to hang out here for a little bit. And,
Wow.
I had learned a little bit like, yeah, over the course, I was there for like 3.5 months, kind of give or take, bouncing around,
In
figuring
the
out.
junkyard of cars.
Well, in the junkyard, and then we would do random nights, like in places, and it was just kind of like it was a mess, right? I was
Yeah.
trying to figure all this out. The coolest thing that had happened though was I met somebody who taught me how to sell. So I met somebody who taught me how to, not just sell, but how to really look as to, what is the idea of sales? The idea of
Yeah.
sales is finding a problem and providing a solution and collecting a commission for it.
Yep.
So when that, kind of like, I was like, whoa, like that makes a lot of sense. And, after a little bit, he actually let me try out the idea of selling, cigars, cigarettes, and flowers and that to people on the beach. And my rule in my head after a certain point was whatever bill they pulled out of their pocket, I would walk away with the whole bill.
Like
So
that
if
mentality.
I was telling somebody, a $4 rose, and he pulled out a 20, I would figure out a way to get to 20. And as I kind of learned how to do that, I made 10 grand like in a week. So like it was a little more than, but it was a lot of money, right? And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
well, listen, that's it. I'm free. Like I'm good to go. Like I made my shit. I'm good. Like cheers, right?
You're right.
So I went and I got an apartment. I had this stupid obsession with penthouses. So I got a penthouse here. And after like a month and a half, I was gone. Like I was struggling with alcohol at the time and I had just figured out what weed was. So, between those two things, it was a lot of fun at my house all the time, any day of the week. But when rent money came and rent man came, it didn't really work out, So I
Yeah.
had started this whole thing that if you don't pay, we're going to evict you. We're going to fuck up your file and whatever. And after like, I got like one notice on the door and I was like, yo, fuck this. I'm out. Right.
Yeah.
So that was before I became a property manager. And now I know the game.
Yeah.
So, but now, even now, like when it comes to the whole property management thing, right, it's one of those things that I just steer clear from because it gets so complicating and technical.
Oh yeah.
And, getting back to the beach, it was like this really humbling thing of where I was like, I kind of never want to do this again. So I realized that, in order for me to make sure that I never do this again, I would have to do something that I've never done before. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have to learn how to properly communicate with people. I was sexually abused by a woman. So it was very hard for me in the beginning to like look any people in the eye at all, let alone and especially women. And it became, it was very hard for me to communicate with women in the beginning. But $250,000 in therapy later, here I am, confident as shit. And it really kind of the journey from then till here, when I look back at all of that stuff, in the moment, there's a lot of things that I, wish I would never have had to do in terms of the growth, in terms of facing my shit and really owning it for what it is. Calling up the people and apologizing when necessary, or going to the people's graves and saying, listen, fuck you, and I'm glad you're dead.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But between the two of them, you find this kind of like healthy balance, this medium where you're thriving and you're growing. You see, because there's this one big thing that people talk about, which is like the survival mechanism in the brain, right? The fight or flight crocodile brain. A lot of people don't realize that there's actually 3 parts to that, and most people get stuck at the first 2, which is the fight or flight. There's another word, and it's called thrive. And most people don't realize that after the fight or flight is that thrive part. I've been toying around with trademarking this word thrivival. We're in the process of the paperwork and all that stuff, so I can share it. But thrivival is this word where a lot of people when they're trying to survive, you can't grow, and when you're trying to thrive, you can't just survive. You got to have either or.
Yeah.
But I'm a very big believer that it's possible to thrive as you're surviving if you survive with intention. And what I mean by that is that there are people who have grown, like for instance, anybody who's been shipwrecked and any of those stories that people have spoken about, you've seen in the news, and you ask somebody, how did you survive? Like, how did you get through that? And they were like, listen, well, I believe that I would be found. And because I believed I would be found, I survived.
Yeah.
And, the first couple of days, they probably didn't believe that they would be found. The first couple of days, they were probably terrified.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And they were probably like, okay, like I'm going to die. And every wave that came, oh my God, it's a crocodile or it's a shark or whatever it is, right? But at a certain point, they got found, right? So now the belief that they had, whether or not they actually truly believe that, now it's a true belief. Now it's established as real because they proved it to themselves and they showed them that belief is real. And I was in one of these coaching trainings the other day, and they were coaching people to train on statistics. You got to go and you got to say, listen, these are the stats in the market right now, year over year, and this is where this is, and this is where that is, and this is why now is the best time to do that. And I was like, listen, bro, I'm the fucking statistic. Like, I don't need to use, no, literally, like in 33004, which is the zip code that I have, I literally have a sign in every single block. And I've done a deal on every single block.
I love that.
And that's why I was telling this guy, I was like, look, like if you think about it, yeah, if you want to use comparables of other people's production, you can, but you'll always be using other people's comparables from other people's production. But when you turn around and you tell a client, especially when they're looking on like a huge offer, they're trying to buy 100, 200 apartments, and you go, listen, dude, I'm the last comp in this area. So I'm confidently telling you that this is how it worked.
Yep.
They go, oh, and I go, you want to come see it?
It's right? Authority.
It's 100%
authority. But listen, you've only been doing this 2 years. Like, people are going to think you've only been doing this 2 years. The failure rate in real estate is somewhere between 85 and 91%. But you came out of the gate 2 years ago with this mindset and this belief that you were going to make it. Like, what were the first things that you did to do this? Because most people don't do what you've done.
100%. I mean, the failure rate in real estate is very, very, very high. We call it an attrition rate. Like, the kick out rate of people is very, very, very high.
Yep.
And the reality of it is a lot of people, they join real estate for the wrong reason. Like, they're joining real estate because they're trying to make a check. They're joining real estate because they see the status, they see the nice cars, they see the watches, they see the jewelry, and they want all the blingy stuff. But they don't realize that before a diamond gets blingy, it comes out of the ground and it's gross and it's disgusting and it's not refined, and you have to refine it. And sometimes that process can take months. So
or years, right? And they
or years. I mean, look, I believe that we are right now, today, we are in what's called a modern day age of success. And that modern day age of success means that you can do 4 years, 5 years of work in 12 months of dedicated effort, which means if you are focused 100% on what you're doing and what you want to do, you can get those results a lot sooner than what was traditionally believed to be true. And I'm living proof of that. When I first came into this business, the first thing I did was I decided I was going to let everybody know I was in real estate and I'm here to help them. So every person that I met, everywhere that I went, I let people know that I was in real estate. So I got this shirt. On the back of the shirt, it says, "Who's your agent?" in bright white letters, and it's got my phone number on the back of it. And I would, like, even at the dog park, like when we had a dog, I would walk around and make sure to introduce myself and meet everybody. And there was one person that I had met who was walking their dog here in my community, who had seen my shirt and was like, "Huh, agent, what are you doing?" I was like, "I sell real estate." And they were like, "Really? That's amazing. We were thinking of selling our house here." My heart stopped because the lowest house here in this neighborhood is about $6 million.
Oh, nice.
And they were like, "We were thinking of selling our house here, and we were going to buy another house on the other side of the island, which is a little bit more than that.
Right.
And we wanted to live there while we were renovating this house." And I was like, "Oh, so you want to renovate?" They were like, "Well, we want to sell, but we're not sure what we want to do." I was like, "Okay, cool. What's the timeline for this?" And they were like, "Yeah, like yesterday." And I was like, "Okay, awesome. When's a good time for me to be able to sit down with you and your husband?" Long story short, she gave me her husband's phone number. I called her husband. Her husband was like, "Hey, I need a 4-bedroom, this amount of square footage, this pricing." Dude was like, up to $1.5 million. I was like, $1.5 million? Holy crap. Like, I've been in real estate for like 6 weeks. This is crazy. So I got into that. And again, this guy, he looked at me and he says, "Joe, I can tell you that you are not experienced in this business, but I can also tell that you really want me to be happy and you want to get me what I want. So I'm experienced in this business. I will show you what you need." And the pride in me was like, who the fuck is this guy?
Right.
But the brain inside of me was like, all right, dude, shut up and listen. Like, listen to what he has to say.
Yeah.
And this is like one of my best friends to date. I've done millions of dollars in transactions with this guy. And like, whenever he has surgery or he's not feeling well or something, like I have a baker and I call her and I'm like, hey, I need you to make me some macaroons. Can you please, and she'll go and she'll deliver them. And, these are the types of relationships that I build with people who are both friends and clients, to where on the one hand, like they'll call me and talk about whatever, but at the same time, I still service them like they're clients, because they are ultimately. And, all of the gifts and all that stuff, I keep those people on that, and really farming to a point where I'm building relationships. You have people who are trying to farm for one season. So what do? And you're in Texas, so I'm sure you see this all the time, right? You drive by a field and you see that it's not graded properly. It's not, like, the lines aren't straight. There wasn't really much effort, but you see some shit growing and you're like, okay, well, that's cool. And then you drive by like a real cornfield and you see proper rows and proper lines and proper everything, and everything's cleaned and trimmed. And even though, everything is not necessarily fully grown yet, they're maintaining it and they're cleaning it. Which one do you think is going to regrow? You see, because the earth has like a crazy memory, just like the ocean. And if you disrespect the earth will not pay back what it's supposed to. So if you're not going to take care of what you are doing, then your crops will grow. They'll grow crooked. They'll grow with weeds, and you'll only have a little bit, and you won't actually make it through to the next season, right? Which is what we're not trying to do here. We're trying to, like, take the time to grade out the ground properly, make sure that you run everything over it, everything's clean, perfectly measured, your measurements, your irrigation, everything. And then you're ready to start planting. But a lot of people, they go first, they throw seeds everywhere, Sounds like some men I know. They just throw seed everywhere, right? And that, like, it's whatever, there's nothing that's being quantified or qualified. It's just kind of like, hey, let's do that, right? And when you don't move with intention, you cannot identify a goal.
No.
So if you want to move with intention, what you need to do is you need to plan that goal first, and then reverse engineer where you want to go. To be completely honest with you, my goal was 30 million, right? I'm at 60 right now.
I love that.
And the only way I got here was because I had taken a system that worked and I kept working it. A lot of people, they'll start calling expireds, and then they didn't like the expired leads today, so tomorrow they're calling for sale by owners.
Yeah.
And then the next day they're calling expireds from a year ago, and the next day they're calling builders, and the next day they're door knocking. And then next week they're like, dude, none of this shit works. And it's like, bro, well, when you went door knocking, you didn't keep a list of all the people who opened the door. When you called other people, you didn't leave any notes in your CRM. Oh, wait, you don't even have a CRM.
Yes, that's your
like
problem.
You don't have any of these things. So how do you expect to really be able to, like, look back and say, okay, well, give me what I earned? Because you haven't earned shit. Like, you haven't done the work to get out there and do what happens when you do work. So you push this thing in, and like the old mailboxes, you had to open them, put the thing inside, and then kind of push the package in. Same idea. Like, most people don't know what mail is right now. I know what mail is. We do mailers, right? Like, it's another method of communication, but a lot of people don't do that stuff, and they don't realize that you first have to put something inside in order to put it into the right place.
Mm-hmm.
They had those keys a couple of years ago, car keys, that it was just like, even in the older trucks, you have like that little piece that you had to stick it in. It wasn't an actual key, but it was like an electronic fob. You had to stick inside. Like, you can have the coolest car and you can have the most expensive car, but if you don't have that little chip that activates the magnet inside that thing that will allow you to turn on the ignition, then there's no point in having the car. And then when you have that car, you got, different level cars. If you want to be a Ferrari, you want to be a BMW, you want to be an expensive car, you have to realize that these cars come with a lot of maintenance. I know, because I have one, and they're expensive shit.
They are. So
guess what? You got to make sure that in as much as you can afford the monthly payment, you can also afford to get it out the shop once it's done, right? If not, you shouldn't get one of those cars. It's the same idea with your business, right? You should have a clear plan as to how you are going to operate. And if you do not have a clear plan as to how you're going to operate, I got a secret to tell you. At a certain point, you're going to find yourself spiraling out of control because there's lead sources from everywhere. I mean, I have 19 active listings right now on the market. You don't think my phone is blowing up every single day?
Yep.
But at the same time, we track them and we know who's coming from where and who's going where and who's going what. We know who to discard and we know who to actually add to the CRM.
Yep.
And we stop what we're doing and we add them to the CRM when we need to, because otherwise you're going to lose track of it. So if there's anything that you took from this podcast, really, it should be that you got to be consistent and you got to be real to yourself and you got to take ownership of the stuff that you're avoiding in order to actually start really owning things, not just materialistic things, but real things, you know, in order to really like sit down and understand where you need to put more effort in. You need to have like a really deep self-analysis and a
You do.
self-assessment. You got to be real with yourself because no one else is going to do that other than you.
So when you first started 2 years ago, most people, especially right now with the market like it is, are looking at joining teams. Did you join a team? Did you go solo? Talk to me about that.
So I didn't join a team in the beginning. The reason I didn't join a team in the beginning was because I firmly believe that I am going to lead my own team. So I
Okay.
set out with, the confidence of getting out there to build something on my own, and I needed to join a smaller brokerage in order to be able to do that. Just because I didn't want any pushback in terms of branding, in terms of compliance. I mean, growing up with the background that I did, I learned to really, really like hate any sort of compliance or rules or anything like that. So in the beginning, I just wanted to prove myself that I can do that without actually having any of that stuff give me any issues. And then once I realized that, okay, I have this system running, I have this going the way that it's going, I need to take it to the next level. I
Mhm.
realized that the brokerage that I was at was not going to be the best place to do that
Yep.
because I had just closed like the largest deal in my career. It was a full 3% on the deal. And my broker was trying to take a money grab. They were trying to do an additional 30% as a royalty because they realized how big the check was. Because no one takes the newbie seriously until he outperforms everybody in the office.
Yeah.
And then once he outperforms everybody in the office, everyone's like, well, fuck that guy.
Yep. Thank
So,
you then.
right. So it's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like, well, you guys didn't know me. I had my own little office, doing my own little thing. Everybody's laughing at me. Even when we were in this transaction, they heard me screaming at lawyers. They heard me screaming at attorneys. They heard lenders. Everybody was just like, everyone thought it was a big joke. But then one day I rocked up and I was like, hey guys, what's up? So we closed. Oh yeah, we didn't close with your title company. We closed with our attorney, but here's a check. I need my disbursement. That's when I started realizing, okay, you know what? Now is a kind of a point where I got to get out, where I got to go. There's this line that I always say whenever I talk to somebody who's considering switching over to, our company now. And it's really like, look, when you cut to a point in your career where you feel like you need to look at second options, I would love to be the first person that you call.
Yep.
And Nikki Klein had done that for me when she had met me on one of my listings that I had in Boca Raton, which is right around the corner from where her
Okay.
office is. So she's up there and, I meet her and I was like, oh my God, like, hey, what's up? Like, I know you from like Facebook groups. And she's like, yeah, and we started having this whole conversation and we connected. And, she called me like 2 weeks later and I was like, yeah, I'm still good. Like I got 14 million in pending deals. Like I can't just walk away from that, But she kept on like checking in. She was like, hey, Joe, is there anything I can help you with? And at this point I was like, actually, I'm a little nervous. What do I do? And then we had this conversation and then boom, we got the ball rolling. So switched over here. Since I switched over here, I think I capped in like 88 days or 103 days, something like that. It was 88 days in terms of transactions. And until transactions were like fully dispersed and paid out, it was 103 days. So, I mean, whatever, it's still pretty awesome, I think.
It's
And
crazy.
and being able to do that, what it showed me really was that like let me explain it like this. There's a concept called cash confidence. And cash confidence, most people, what they think it means is when you have money in the bank, you're confident and you're comfortable and you have what it takes to operate. But I got like something very real to tell you. At the end of every month, my business operating account goes down to zero.
Yeah.
Like it's just how it works, right? Between marketing and events and stuff and investments and say it all goes down to zero.
Yep.
So if that's what cash confidence meant, then I wouldn't have the confidence that I have, which is big as a giraffe, because it's not like it wouldn't happen like that, right? So what do I do instead? Instead, I know that no matter where I end up, no matter what situation, what state, what city, what career, you give me 7 days and I'll be making money in that business. Matter of fact, I might even make money right away the same day as soon as I start. So I know that no matter where I go, no matter what I do, I can make cash.
So people will be listening to this. And of course, with home sales down like they are right now, you have this thing where you're like, we can do this in 90 days. Kind of talk people through that. What are you doing differently that people are not doing? How are you accomplishing this?
Well, first of all, we're doing a lot of people. They just talk about a lot of things that they do and they just don't do it. Like, have you ever met somebody and you guys made up plans and it just like never happened? You're like, well, I'm not going to call him because that's stupid. Um, Same idea, where we're actually just showing up. Like, we're doing the things that we're saying we're going to do, which automatically puts us in like a very, very small 10% of like actual operators within this business. Then on top of that, we don't like overpromise anything. So if I think that you bought a shitty deal and you're trying to get out of a shitty deal right now, I will tell you that. And I'll be like, listen, I understand you bought this deal for $1 million last year. Here's the reality. Right now, this deal is worth $1,015,000.
Yeah.
So there's one of two ways we can go about this. I can put it on the market for $1,400,000 or $1,500,000 like you want, but two things are going to happen. Number one, either we won't have any showings on it. Number two, we're going to have lowball offers. Number three, no one's going to be interested at all because they all think that we're just like not serious at all and we're just trying to play a game. So what I need you to agree with me is that if any one of those second or third things happen, which means if there's no showings or if people think we're not serious, I need you to already agree with me that we're going to reduce the price to this price because this is where I think I can sell it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that for 7 days and it's in my listing agreement. So I don't even have to call them to let them know.
Yep.
So with that in mind, I mean, the strategy that we're taking here is we're here to bring results. I'm not here to babysit people and to give them, ideas of like, yeah, maybe if we go see another 50 houses, maybe you'll like something. It's like, listen, here's the deal. You told me that you're looking for a 2-bedroom, 3-bathroom that's 1,800 square feet that has a pool. There are 4 of them right around the corner from where you want it to be. Can we go see all 4 of those tomorrow between 1 and 4 p.m. and we'll help you get a house? Right? And if they say no, it goes no problem. We move them right back over to our ISA follow-up drip, and that's it. You call us back when you're ready. I'm not chasing you. I'm not here to chase you. I'm not here to ask you to do something you don't want to do. If you are avoiding my phone calls and you're avoiding circling back with me, it's quite obvious that you don't want to move forward with this. And I'm a dream maker, not a dream chaser. So I'll help you out when you're ready, but I'm not going to chase you in order to beg you to make your dreams come true. Obviously, there's something that I'm just not privy to, and that's totally okay. Thank you for your time. And then move on.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
So not being scared of rejection and not being scared of people telling me that I'm not good enough, which I've had most of my life, and not, and not being scared of like actually putting in real effort and then being like, well, shit, there just went a whole week's of work because when you're trying to play in this space, when you're trying to play in a space where you want to make big money, now they tell a lot of real estate agents that 100 grand is big money. So if you made 100 grand this year, I want you to pat yourself on the shoulder because in about 59 days, all that shit's going to reset and you'll be back to zero. And now let me help you expand your vision a little bit more to where 100 grand is an entry level.
Yeah.
Because 100 grand is an entry level. I want every single person that works for me in my organization to make at least that.
Oh, yeah.
That, right. Sure. As a really successful real estate agent, you got to be pumping up those numbers because this past year I spent $75,000 in personal development.
Yep.
So if I was making $100,000, I would not be able to afford my life.
No.
So instead, what I focused on doing was I came up with a goal, right? I came up with a number goal. And then I realized that, let's say in my market, for instance, on average, again, we can't talk about exact commissions and all that fun stuff, but on average, let's say a commission on a regular deal is about $12,000 to $15,000, right? And let's say I wanted to make $250,000 this year, right? So if I wanted to make $250,000 this year, I know that I have to sell 10 houses in order to make that. 25 houses in order to make that, because an average of 12.5 times 20 would actually put me at 500 grand, right? Which is more ideal than 250. Yeah. So I know that I have to do, let's say 20 transactions, right? 20 transactions divided by 12 is like 1.6 transactions every month.
Yeah.
So I know that if I sell 1 house every month, I sell 12 houses, I'll make $125,000.
That's right.
I know that if I sell 25 houses, I'll make a little bit more,
yes.
right? And that's kind of the goal. See, a lot of people in this business, they slow down. They make a little bit of money. And I was talking to somebody yesterday from EXP, and she was like, I just made a check in August, and I'm still living off of that check. And I'm like, okay, and when is that check gonna run out? And she's like, this month. And I'm like, okay, well, have you been doing anything to continue growing your business? She's like, it's been really tough. I haven't been feeling well. I'm like, well, listen here, lady, here's the deal. All right. I would start looking for a new job, because it don't sound to me like you're going to really be able to get anything going,
No.
And I turn around and I speak to hundreds of people a day. Literally on an average day, we're talking to 100 people in between Facebook messages and videos and birthday videos and YouTube
You're doing it.
message content. I'm sorry.
You're doing it all.
Try. Listen, at the end of the day, you got the people who talk a big game, but then when they show up to the fight, they get knocked out in the first punch. And then you got the people who don't really say anything, and then they show up and no one really knows who they are. So even when they win, it's not all that fun. Then you have the people who call their shots. The people who call their shots are the people that entire pay-per-view sells out. Everybody sells. Everybody everywhere knows what's going on.
Yeah.
People like people who call their shots because most people don't even know what tomorrow's going to bring. So I might not know what I'm doing next week for lunch, but I do know that I will be in the office, and I do know that I will be working, serving people, and I do know that I will be showing up no matter what the news tells me to believe, or no matter what my buyers are telling me, or no matter what my sellers are telling me, because at the end of the day, I'm the one who controls that, and I am in direct control of everything that comes out. And honestly, I made peace with whatever's going to come in, because I know that the more that I put out, the more I'll get back. If it's this year, if it's next year, if it's in 10 years, if it's my future generations, whatever it is, I want to make sure that every single day society feels that Joe Brikman made an impact on it.
For sure.
That's the goal.
So now moving forward in the market that we're in, and as we head into 2023, like there's a lot of new agents that watch us, a lot of seasoned ones. What do you think 3 things they should be focusing on to help them sell more homes, grow their business?
3 things agents should be focusing on right now in today's market. Number 1, start getting comfortable with video. Start recording videos. Start making reels. Start posting stories. Start sharing more about you to your audience. Start giving your audience more of you. If you want somebody to work with you because you're you, give them you. That's first of all. Second of all is get in control of your morning. Get in control of your day. So the way I work, I wake up at 3:15 every morning, and from 3:15 till about 6:30, I barely look at my phone. Now I'm doing a 75 hard challenge, and I'm doing a 30-day live challenge. So, I kind of like, now it's also a little bit like I'm help in customer support and a help desk for all the people that are doing that. So, this morning I started answering messages and stuff as soon as I woke up. But that's like number 1 is really time block your schedule. Like my schedule, 3:15 I wake up, 3:20. So from 3:15 to 3:25, it's kind of like that time which like, okay, I'm going to sit up. I drink some water. I drink 26 ounces of water when I wake up. And then from there, I meditate. I jump in. I have an ice barrel in my backyard. And then from there I read, and then I write, and then we're ready for team meetings. Right. So when you set that up, and then like I go to the gym in the afternoon, usually, sometimes I go, it depends. But the point is that I know when I wake up in the morning, what I'm doing, when I'm doing it. And my phone sends me notifications 15 minutes before, 10 minutes before, and then while I'm supposed to be doing it. And it happens every single day, repetitively, again and again and again. Because even though I know my schedule in the back of my head and I know it 100%, there are times like just before, one of the agents on my team called me and it was like 12:56. And I was like, yo, dude, so how do I say this? Call me back in an hour. I got to go. And that's because I got that reminder that popped up. Like, I'm supposed to be somewhere right now.
Yes.
People, the reminders that they get, they're like big, crazy things in life. Someone had a heart attack. Someone had an accident. Someone, it was a massive fire. Yeah. And that's when they get their reminders and they're like, holy shit, like there's more to life. I'm not going to wait. I'm not even going to give the universe an opportunity to put me into a position that I will end up with something like that. Because
go ahead.
Because everything that I'm trying to put together and everything that I'm trying to grow is something that when somebody looks back and they try to find a flaw in it, it will shine so bright that whatever flaws are there are not noticeable because of how bright it's shining.
So as like you're moving into the new year and stuff, what are you doing differently with your team? Are you growing it? Are you adding on more agents? What are y'all doing?
Of course I'm adding on more agents. I think that, in this market right now, it's very important to give more people opportunities. There are a lot of people who have already silent quit out of the real estate business.
Oh, yeah.
Quitting is this term that people came up with where they give up on their job before they actually quit. But the thing is that if you silent quit on your job, you actually don't make money. You don't grow until you basically force yourself out of the business. Yep. So there are a lot of people who are doing that just because they came into this business without understanding some core fundamentals.
Yep.
They came into this business in a very hype, chaotic time where literally all you had to do was say, hey, I'm selling it. And 5 people were like, I'm buying it. Yeah. I don't care how much, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
I'm done. So when you come into the market at that time, it's impossible to build relationships with photography experts and sign placement experts and people in the neighborhood or staging companies or things like that, because you're just looking for the easy way out. Like I refused to put a listing on the market that was not show ready, something that I would show off in a year from now.
We're the same way.
And every single one of my listings have sold above ask.
Yep.
Multiple offers, because it's all about how you package it, right? So walking into this new year, what we're doing differently is, number one, we're not as ready to hire, which means that we're hiring you, but I need you to first complete 2 60-second video interviews, a personality assessment. I need you to schedule a time to come into our office, and I need you to give me references, because I need to know who you are, because I show up to my team. I know confidently a lot more than a lot of other agents do, a lot of other team leaders. Like my team is like, I told this to somebody the other day, they're like, what do you do for a living? And I told them, I was like, I sell houses. And they were like, you sell houses? I was like, yeah. And they were like, what else do you do? I was like, well, I also help people capitalize and maximize the opportunity in today's market, you know, from a real estate investment standpoint. They're like, okay, cool. What else do you do? I was like, bro, I live, breathe, and shit real estate. Anything that you need real estate here in Miami, call me. I got you. Yes. Like whatever you need, you know? And that's kind of my life right now. Like I wake up in the morning and, you know, the first thing I do on my computer is I'm checking the MLS report. I'm trying to see what's new, what's going on, what's happening, right? Yeah. And I just want to encourage people who are looking to really level up next year, like do the things, you know, why do clients love Zillow so much?
Because it shows them the estimate of value, what they think is the estimate of value.
That's one. Another big reason is that Zillow, it's giving you the option to fill out your name, phone number, and email, but it's not begging you for it.
No.
Not only that, you can go and you can look at any house anywhere in the world, and they'll give it to you. And if you ever look at Facebook's, you know, their Facebook page on Facebook, they don't actually have like ads for agents and stuff. It's more like, hey, check out this house in Munich, Germany, and check out this house in Miami. And that's why people love it so much, because it's literally giving them what they want. People love to dream. People love to think.
People are nosy.
Yeah, of course. And I love to give my people the opportunity to dream bigger and to think bigger. So instead of saying, hey, go to Zillow, check out a property, I say, look, what if I was able to show you a couple of properties that match exactly what you're looking for on my MLS link, right? I'm trying to get more people to trust me just for the fact that they know that I bring value to them. They know that at a certain point, I'm going to help them out. So that's another thing that I would do, is I would start really trying to focus on real relationships. Not, hey, happy Halloween, here's a bag of candy. Oh shit, there's a business card stapled to the back of it. You know, like not that type of stuff. And really focusing on service, really focusing on how can I help other people? How can I be there for other people? What else can I do that will help other people without necessarily looking for what's in it for me?
I love that. And we always like to kind of finish and wrap things up with, because we're going to talk about EXP a little bit. We didn't mention, you guys, that Joe is with us at EXP. How long have you been with us now, Joe?
4 months.
That's it. Gosh, it goes by so fast. Why EXP? What enticed you there? What did you see?
I mean, why not EXP? Like, if you think about the way that it's set up, like I made a comment on this the other day. I don't recruit, right? Like I'm not actively recruiting, at least not yet. Like I don't have the bandwidth to do that, right? But at the same time, like there are 7 or 8 people who joined my downline just from me being me, right? And what I mean by that is that in this brokerage, like if there's something that I don't know or something that I'm not sure about, there is somebody who is in the upline of the people that have brought me in that can help me.
For sure.
You know, especially like even here, like I came in with Nikki Klein, but Veronica is the one who's helping me a lot with a lot of my scaling and my growing. I mean, she does happen to be the number 1 team lead, number 1 person in my book, period, in real estate, and she's queen.
Yeah.
And when you look at Queen V, the way she set everything up, the way she has everything set up, right? And you see the willingness to, hey, Joe, listen, this is how I would recommend doing it, and this is what I would put in my team graphic, and this is what I would do here. To have that direct connection to her and, you know, have the business response, like 2 to 3 business days type of response, like I think that's really awesome. Number one, I'm sure her phone gets blown up by hundreds of people every day. And the fact that she needs to the point to respond is number one. And number 2, the relationships that I've been able to build with all of the top performers in our brokerage, you know, because we're all aligned in the same way. It's not kind of like, you know, anybody can talk to anybody in this brokerage. So like if I really technically wanted to, I can go and talk to Glenn Sanford again.
Yeah.
You know, crazy story about Glenn, which made it really cool for me was I was at Tahoe, Jet Black Tahoe, like a month ago. And, you know, I got in, like I drove the right before I had gotten into California, I had drove all the way to Arkansas, and I was in Arkansas. That's where I had met him the first time. And then from there, I had, ended up in Lake Tahoe at this event. And, I was walking out of the elevator to get into my room to get into the elevator. And I see this dude, standing there, like in the elevator. There's 5 other people. So I walk into the elevator and I go, "Good morning, everybody. Great to see y'all." Right. And I'm like, okay, cool. And, as like this elevators kind of were going all the way from the top all the way slowly down, I started introducing myself. And I'm like, "Hey, I'm Joe. I'm from Miami. What's your name? Where are you from?" And this dude's like, "Yeah, I'm Glenn. I'm from Washington." I'm like, "That's what's up, Glenn. Nice to meet you. It's a nice bag you got." And he was like, "Yeah, thank you." I was like, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm just going to put my stuff in my car." I was like, "Yeah, that's cool, man. You go do you." And then, on the way out, like, of the elevator, I was like, "Yeah, so my name's Joe Brikman. I'm from Miami." He's like, "Nice to meet you. I'm Glenn Sanford." Now, something went off in my head, like a little alarm bell. And I'm kind of like, okay, dude, I should know this name.
Yes.
I should be processing something here, and I'm not. Like, I'm drawing a blank. And it probably was the fact that I just didn't sleep, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, like something's wrong. So I pulled out my phone, right? And I'm like, Glenn Sanford. And I type it in, and I'm friends with the guy on Facebook. And I'm like, shit, this was the CEO of my company.
Yes.
And I just said, "What's up?" So I walked up to him afterwards. We were all at this event, and he came to check out the event. And I was like, "Hey, Glenn, nice to see you again." Right. And everyone was like confused as shit. But I was like, nah, like he should know. Right. And he was like, "Yeah, it's cool, And then he goes, "I love what you're doing in Miami." And I was like, what the fuck? Like, how do you know what I'm doing in Miami? And he goes, "You're the modern day agent, right?" And I was like, yeah. And he's like, "Well, I really love what you're doing in Miami. And I think it's going to be really awesome when you continue growing." And I was like, how does the guy who is worth like $1 billion, like this is literally worth $1 billion, right?
Sure.
He was telling me about this boat that he bought. It's an 80 million, like it's a huge, like these huge, things that they're doing and what they're doing and how they're doing. And this guy knew who I was. He knows my brand. He knows what I do. He knows what I stand for.
Yeah.
Like if somebody like that knows what I have going on, took the time to like know that, and it's very possible that when I walked out of the elevator, he Googled my number,
yes,
on the back of my shirt, and he's like, "Who the fuck is that guy?" And he found out all the information, and he used that because he's an expert communicator. There's a very big chance, and I will never know because I don't want to know. The point was that he knew. And he knew, and he, even if he did take the time to Google it, and even if he did take the time to look it up, the fact is that he cared. And then he realized that if I'm with EXP, I'm part of his family. If I'm part of his family, he should know more about me. And that is what is important here. There are people here that I get to know, that I get to meet, that I would never have met anywhere else. And honestly, if I had tried to connect with them without being EXP, it would be so hard. Not because that they're stuck up, but just because of the fact that they're so busy.
Yes.
These are like real people who are like actual top producers.
Yes.
But when somebody calls me and they say, "Hey, I'm with EXP and I need help," this is a family thing. So it's not now about, okay, well, I have to squeeze them into my schedule and make time. It's kind of more like, okay, well, you got 5. And they're like, "Yeah." And I go, "Perfect." And I just call them because it's a commitment that you need to show up for the people, because if not the people, then who are the people? Right. And that's the way that we show up. And that's the way that we got to do. So that's why EXP, man. EXP is awesome.
It is. And you guys, y'all, like every interview I've done, and especially all through the month of October, I try to do a theme every month. And basically everyone that I interviewed was someone from EXP. And the overwhelming thing, I asked all of them, if everything was taken away from you within EXP and one thing remained, what would that one thing be? And everyone has said the relationships, people.
100%. I know. And honestly, I know that if I decide in the future to like go and open my own brokerage or whatever, the people, the relationships that I've built, they're still there. It's not like, this is a very big common misconception that people have. It's kind of like, "Oh, well, you want me to join with you for the rev share or for the recruiting bonuses." And I'm like, bro, let me just be completely honest with you. Okay. The bonus that I'll get for recruiting you, if you hit all of your like check boxes, which is like only 4% of the company icons. So like, if you're part of that 4%, then that's lit. You should join my team. But at the same time, like I'm not just, it's $2,500. Like it's not a lot of money. This
not
is
gonna make or break you.
Not at all. I mean, $2,500 is like a car payment. You feel me? Like it's like, okay, great. Thank you for paying for my car this month. Like Because of you, I'm able to go and continue feeding my family. But you know what? It's not even that. It's not even the money. Like, you know, you don't make that all in one shot. You make a few $100s here, a few $100s there, but it's the compound.
It is.
It's not just the making money off of the one person. It's about sticking here and being responsible for growing out the family. You see, because the only way that we really only get paid off of other people is by providing value to them to help them produce. You know, granted, there are some unicorns out there who all you got to do is set it and forget it. But some people, they need that time.
That's
and they need that work. And you know what? If someone's calling me and they're telling me, hey, I don't want to join EXP, convince me why I should join, I say, you know what? How about this? Let's wait a year. Call me in a year. So I'll be able to show you my stock portfolio. I'll be able to show you the revenue that I've made. Since I've already capped, I get all of my money back. And since I'll icon, I'll get all of my money back.
Yep.
So, like, you know, if you're not a performer and you can't keep with it, like, don't sit around here and shit on my game. Like, you know, you sit here and you laugh at me and you tell me that, like, you haven't seen me at the club. Well, guess what, dude? I haven't seen you at the bank. Like, my banker knows me on a first name basis, you know?
I like that.
I would rather my banker know me on a first name basis than my bartender know me on a first name basis. That's 1,000%.
For sure. Yes. Joe, you are awesome. I love your energy. I love your transparency. You guys, we are in a different market, but Joe is definitely willing to help. He's willing to give people tips and strategies. Joe, how can they get a hold of you? Where can they find
100%. So you can Google my name. Just Google Joe Brikman. It'll come right up on the first page of Google. If you want to get like super nitty gritty and you want to find only me, because my cousin's name's also Joe Brikman and we kind of fight for SEO rankings. So you can find me. Gotta Call Joe. GOTTA Call Joe. I'm from New York, so that's how we do. And on Facebook, you know, facebook.com/Joe Brikman. That's me, the modern day agent. You can find us anywhere. We got reviews. If you got any value or benefit from this, I would totally love it if you just went and left me a review on my business page just to tell people that I'm awesome. It's about 40% of my business now is social media. So that's a big deal. And obviously Tricia's lit. So if y'all need any help with anything in Houston or anything around the area, Houston's kind of a small little spot. And if you got a comfortable car, you can drive for an hour in each direction. So hit her up. She'll help you out to take care of you. And I really appreciate this opportunity. I can't wait to see you again soon in person.
Heck yeah. You guys have an awesome day.
Later.
Bye, y'all.